Hello and welcome back to Saltwater Stories. This week, we are going to be exploring the incredible pom-pom crab, and I do mean incredible.
You are not kidding. These little guys, I mean, you can imagine them perched right on your fingernail. But they have this, incredible partnership with sea anemones. It's really like nothing else in the ocean.
It's like almost as if like they're carrying around these tiny little boxing gloves.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, and those boxing gloves, they're not just for show. They're actually small sea anemones, closely related to corals and jellyfish, and they pack a pretty powerful sting.
Okay, so we've got these tiny crabs,
Right.
right? And they're living in these amazing, dazzling, colorful coral reefs of the Indo-Pacific, and they're holding on to these stinging sea anemones. It it almost sounds like something out of like a science fiction movie or something.
It really does. Picture yourself. You're diving, right? You're diving in the warm, clear waters, maybe around Indonesia or the Philippines, or even the Great Barrier Reef. Those are the kind of places where you would find these amazing creatures. And to really understand why they carry those anemones, we need to talk a little bit about mutualism. It's
Mhm.
it's like this win-win situation for both the crab, right, and the anemone.
Okay. So break it down for us then. What does each partner get out of this deal? What's the arrangement here?
Well, so the crab gets protection. Those stinging tentacles they're pretty effective deterrent to predators. It's like, imagine having a personal bodyguard that you can just like wave around to scare off bullies.
Right.
And what do the anemones get in return? Well, they get mobility on their own. Anemones they're pretty much stuck in one spot, but the crab, by carrying them around,
Yeah.
it gives them access to like a much wider range of food sources. It's like having a mobile buffet, that takes you to all the best restaurants on the reef.
That's amazing. It's like they've formed this incredible, partnership, right?
Hmm.
Where each one helps the other to survive and,
Yeah.
and to thrive in this crazy environment.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even like more mind-blowing. If a pom-pom crab,
Right.
right, loses one of its anemones, it can actually split the remaining one, right,
Wow.
into two identical clones. It's like they have this built-in like first aid kit
Right.
for their weaponized pom-poms.
Whoa. How how is that even possible? Do they just like rip the anemone in half or
That's what's so fascinating. It's not a violent process at all. The anemone actually divides itself through a process called fission. It's a form of asexual reproduction, and scientists are still trying to like figure out exactly how the crab triggers this process. I mean, does it release some sort of chemical signal? Does it use its claws to kind of stimulate the anemone? It's a mystery that's still being unraveled.
that's incredible. When I first heard about pom crabs, I just like assumed they were, born with those anemones just like attached to their claws or something. But now I'm realizing there's this like whole other layer of, complexity to this relationship.
Absolutely. And that brings us to kind of their evolutionary journey. Pom-pom crabs, they belong to a family called Xanthidae, which includes like a lot of small, reef crabs. But this anemone wielding behavior is like completely unique to the pom-pom crab. It's what sets them apart from all their crab cousins.
So how did this like unusual partnership even come about?
While scientists believe that their ancestors kind of gradually developed this symbiotic relationship over millions of years,
Yeah.
you have to remember that reefs they're incredibly competitive environments. It's like an underwater city, right, teeming with life, and everyone's vying for resources. So any advantage, right, no matter how small, can make a huge difference in terms of survival and reproduction. And those stinging anemones, they would have provided a significant edge, allowing those early pom crabs to fend off predators and secure like better feeding spots.
It's amazing to think about how these relationships evolve over like these vast stretches of time, right?
Yeah.
Driven by the constant pressure of natural selection.
It's like this slow motion dance, with each partner adapting and adjusting to the other over countless generations. And the result is, this incredibly intricate and finely tuned partnership that we see today in the pom pom crab.
It's a reminder that evolution is always at work, right?
Yeah,
Shaping life in the most unexpected ways.
exactly. And it's not just about, defense and mobility, these little crabs are actually omnivores. They have a surprisingly varied diet. I mean, they graze on algae, plankton, bits of, organic matter, anything they can get their tiny claws on.
It sounds like they're constantly on the move, right? It's like foraging for food in all the nooks and crannies of the reef.
They are. It's like this never-ending scavenger hunt. And their tiny claws, it's like their specialized tools. They're perfectly designed for picking up those tiny morsels of food.
I'm picturing them just like delicately picking up, bits of algae and plankton with these like miniature pincers.
You got it. But here's the twist. Those anemones that they carry around, they actually help with feeding too.
Wait, really? I thought the anemones were just, for defense.
That's what's so cool about this relationship. It's multifaceted. Those stinging tentacles, right? They act like these tiny little nets.
Hmm.
Capturing plankton as the crab moves around. It's like having a built-in fishing net that constantly gathers food for you.
So the crab is basically getting like a free meal, right? Thanks to its partner.
Exactly. It's a classic example of symbiosis in action. Each partner benefits from the other's presence, and they both thrive as a result.
It's a beautiful example of cooperation in nature.
It really is. But here's the thing. This whole intricate system, this dance between the crab and the anemone, it all relies on the health of the entire reef.
That makes sense, right? The reef is their home. It provides the food, the shelter, the everything that they need to survive.
Precisely. Plenty of healthy coral, right? It means more hiding places for the crab, more food to eat and more places to even find those precious anemones. It's all interconnected.
But we've heard so much about how coral reefs around the world are struggling because of climate change and other threats.
Sadly, that's true, and that's what makes the story of the pom-pom crab even more important. It's a reminder that even the smallest creatures can be affected by these global changes.
So even though these crabs are tiny,
Yeah.
right? They're giving us this window into the health of the whole reef, right?
That's a great way to put it. Their fate is intertwined with the fate of, the entire ecosystem. And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of their lives, communication.
I'm picturing lots of claw waving and anemone shaking, and it must be a pretty silent world down there.
It is, but it's far from boring. These crabs have evolved, a complex system of visual signals to communicate with each other. They raise their claws, they wave those anemones around. They even adopt specific postures that all convey different meanings.
It's like a silent dance off, right? With stinging pom-poms as the main prop.
I love that analogy. It really captures the essence of their communication style. Scientists are, they're still trying to decode all the nuances of their language, but it's clearly much more sophisticated than we might initially think.
So what kinds of things are they communicating about? Is it just like food and danger, or is
Right.
there something more going on?
Well, we know that they use these signals to attract mates, to defend their territory, and to warn each other about predators. But there's still so much we don't know. I mean, are they communicating about the quality of their anemones? Are they sharing information about good feeding spots? Are they even expressing emotions like fear or excitement? These are all questions that researchers are actively exploring.
It's amazing to think that we're only just beginning to understand the complexity of their social interactions. It's like we're like eavesdropping on a conversation in a foreign language.
Exactly, and it just goes to show that even the smallest creatures can have these rich and complex lives that are full of meaning and purpose.
Speaking of complex lives, all right, how do these crabs even reproduce? Do the males fight over females? Do they have elaborate courtship rituals?
Well, it all starts with the anemones. Remember those boxing gloves that we talked about? They're not just weapons, right? They're also status symbols. The males actually show off their best anemones to attract females.
So it's like they're flashing their their most valuable possessions.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
it's a sign of good health and strength. The bigger and brighter the anemones, the more attractive the male is to potential mates.
So the females are looking for a male who can provide them with the best protection and the best access to food.
That's right. It's all about finding a mate, right?
Huh.
Who can give their offspring the best possible chance of survival. Once the female has chosen a mate, she'll carry her eggs under her body for protection, and when the eggs hatch, the tiny larvae will drift off with the currents.
That sounds like a pretty risky journey for those little babies. They must face, all sorts of dangers out there in the open ocean.
It is a perilous journey. Only a small percentage of those larvae will actually survive to adulthood. But it's a crucial part of spreading the population, ensuring that the next generation of pom-pom crabs can continue to thrive in those amazing coral reefs.
It's like this delicate balancing act,
Yep.
right? Between the risks and the rewards of reproduction.
Exactly. And it highlights just how important it is to keep those reefs healthy. So those tiny larvae have a fighting chance.
It makes you realize that everything is connected in those ecosystems, right?
Yeah.
The fate of the pom-pom crab is intertwined with the fate of the coral, the fish, the plankton, the entire web of life.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's all part of, a delicate balance, a symphony of life that's been playing out for millions of years.
And we as humans have a responsibility to make sure that symphony continues to play.
Couldn't agree more. The story of the pom-pom crab is it's a reminder that even the smallest creatures can teach us, these valuable lessons about resilience, adaptability, and the importance of protecting our natural world.
It's a story that's both, fascinating and inspiring, and it's a story that we're only just beginning to understand.
Exactly. There's still so much we can learn from these amazing creatures, and that's what makes studying them so exciting.
We've been talking all about how amazing these pom-pom crabs are, but I I think it's important to to remember that they're not just these like cute and fascinating creatures,
Yeah.
right? Living in a bubble.
You're absolutely right. It's easy to get swept up in the wonder of those tiny boxing gloves and that incredible, cloning trick. But there's a whole other side to the pom-pom crab's story, right? A side that involves us humans.
That's right. That's right. We can't talk about a creature like this without considering how we impact their lives both positively and negatively.
Exactly. And unfortunately that impact is often more negative than we, like to think. Let's start with the aquarium trade. Pom crabs with their, adorable anemones have become quite popular among aquarium enthusiasts, and it's easy to see why.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They're so unique and captivating to watch. I can definitely understand the appeal.
They are, but the problem is many of the pom-pom crabs that are sold in aquarium shops are actually taken directly from the wild, and that raises some serious ethical concerns.
So it's not as simple as just buying a pom pom crab and putting it in a tank, right? There are consequences to consider.
Absolutely, over collecting these crabs from their natural habitat, it can disrupt the delicate balance of the reef ecosystem. It's like taking a piece out of a puzzle. It can weaken the whole structure. Plus, keeping a pom-pom crab healthy in an aquarium is it's actually quite challenging.
That makes sense. I mean, they're such specialized creatures, right? So I imagine they need very specific conditions to thrive.
Exactly. They need very specific water quality, temperature, and even the right type of coral and rock formations to mimic their natural habitat as closely as possible. It's not just a matter of, plopping them into a tank and hoping for the best. It takes a lot of, knowledge, dedication, and resources to provide the proper care.
So it's not something to take lightly, right?
Yeah.
So if someone really wants to experience the wonder of these crabs,
Yeah.
are there some more like responsible alternatives?
Well, thankfully there are a few options. First, they can look for captive bred pom-pom crabs. There are some breeders who are raising them ethically and sustainably, taking the pressure off of wild populations.
That sounds like a much better option for both the crabs and the reef.
It is. Another option is to simply, enjoy them through documentaries, photos, and even virtual aquariums. Technologies has come a long way in terms of creating, these immersive experiences that allow us to appreciate the beauty and wonder of these creatures without actually needing to own them.
It's like we can visit their world, right?
Mhm.
Without disrupting it. That's pretty amazing.
It is, and it's a reminder that we can still, connect with nature and experience, awe and wonder without necessarily, needing to possess it.
That brings us to the bigger issue, right? The threats facing pom-pom crabs in their natural habitat. It feels like we're constantly hearing about the challenges facing our oceans
Yeah.
from climate change to pollution.
And sadly, those threats are very, very real for these tiny crabs. Climate change is a major one as ocean temperatures, rise. It disrupts the delicate balance of the entire reef ecosystem, leading to coral bleaching and habitat loss.
And we talked earlier about how important coral is for these crabs, right? It's their home, their food source, their everything.
Exactly. And when coral dies, it's not just the coral that suffers. It impacts, everything that relies on the reef for food and shelter, including our friend the pom-pom crab. Their whole world is changing around them and not for the better.
It's heartbreaking to think about, what they're going through, especially because it's happening on such a massive scale.
It is, and it's not just rising temperatures. We also have to consider, ocean acidification as the ocean absorbs more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. It becomes more acidic, and that can actually weaken the shells of crabs and other creatures, making them more vulnerable to predators and disease.
So even if they manage to survive, the habitat loss from coral bleaching, they're facing these additional challenges that are making it even harder for them to thrive.
Exactly. It's like this, multi-pronged attack on their survival. And then of course there's pollution,
Mhm.
plastic waste, chemical runoff, agricultural fertilizers, all of that ends up in the ocean, right? And it can directly harm, marine life, including those sensitive coral reefs.
It's a pretty grim picture, but I know there are, people and organizations working to protect coral reefs and the creatures that live there. What are some of those like positive efforts?
Well, there's a lot happening on different fronts. For starters, there are many organizations working on reef restoration projects. They're planting new coral, they're cleaning up debris, and creating marine protected areas where these ecosystems have a chance to recover and rebuild.
Those protected areas sound crucial. It's like giving these ecosystems a safe haven, right,
Yeah.
where they can bounce back.
They are, and there's a lot of research being done to better understand these creatures and their needs. That the more we know, right, the better equipped we are to help them adapt to these changing
It's
conditions.
like we're learning their language so we
Yeah.
can better understand their needs.
Exactly, and it's not just scientists who are involved. Citizen scientists are playing a huge role too. People are monitoring reefs. They're reporting sightings of pom crabs and other creatures, and they're even helping to collect data. It's a collaborative effort that's bringing together people from all walks of life.
That's inspiring. So even if we don't, live near a coral reef, we can still make a difference.
Absolutely. We can all make choices that reduce our impact on the planet, whether it's, using less plastic, choosing sustainable seafood, or supporting organizations that are working to protect the ocean. Every little bit helps.
It feels like we often get, bogged down in the doom and gloom of environmental news. But it's important to remember that there are people actively, working to make things better, and that we can all be, part of the solution.
Couldn't agree more. And that's where the pom-pom crab comes in again, with its quirky charm and unique story. It it can be this powerful ambassador for ocean conservation. It can capture people's, attention, spark their curiosity, and hopefully motivate them to take action.
It's like they're tiny little, superheroes
Yeah. Yeah.
fighting for the future of our oceans.
Exactly, and they need all the help they can get. It's amazing how such a tiny creature can pack such a big story. And you know what? We're not even done yet. In this final part, I thought we could maybe explore the pom crab's, kind of cultural significance, and maybe even delve into, some of the cutting edge research that's helping us to understand them even better.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated by, how different cultures around the world, view and interact with the natural world. So I'm really curious to hear about the pom-pom crabs, place in human culture.
Well, for centuries, coastal communities have been, observing these little crabs, and it's no surprise that they've kind of woven them into their, folklore and traditions. In some cultures, they're seen as symbols of resilience, resourcefulness, even good luck.
It's like those tiny boxing gloves have become these like emblems of strength and cleverness.
Exactly. And it makes sense when you think about it. These crabs they're masters of adaptation. They've figured out how to thrive in this, challenging environment, how to defend themselves against predators, how to, form these incredible partnerships with other creatures. It's a story that resonates with people, I think, on a deep level.
It's a reminder that we can learn, valuable lessons from the natural world, even from creatures as small as a pom-pom crab.
Absolutely. And it's not just folklore, right? The pom-pom crab has also captured the imagination of artists and writers and filmmakers. They've popped up in children's books and animated films, even video games. They're like these tiny ambassadors for the ocean, introducing people to the beauty and wonder of the underwater world.
It's amazing how they've become these like pop culture icons. I bet there are kids out there who know more about pom crabs than they do about some terrestrial animals.
It's true. And with the rise of social media, their popularity has only exploded. Videos of those little crabs, boxing with their anemones have gone viral, racking up, millions of views and introducing these creatures to a global audience.
It's like the internet has given them a megaphone, right? Allowing them to share their story with the world.
It really has, and it's a powerful reminder that even in our digital age, nature still has the power to amaze and inspire us.
Speaking of inspiration, I know scientists are doing some fascinating research on pom-pom crabs. What are some of the key questions that they're trying to answer?
Well, one of the biggest mysteries, right, is how they manage to clone their anemones. We know they can split, a remaining anemone into two identical copies, but the exact mechanism is still being investigated. Is it a chemical signal? Is it a physical stimulation? It's like they've unlocked the secret code of nature,
Hmm.
and scientists they're eager to crack it.
It's almost like they've discovered a form of biological immortality, right?
Yeah.
At least for those anemones.
It's a fascinating area of research, and it could have, implications for our understanding of cell growth and regeneration. I mean, imagine if we could harness that power to help, humans heal and regenerate tissues. It's a
Right.
it's a long shot, but the possibilities they're intriguing.
It's mind blowing to think that we might be able to learn something from these tiny crabs that could revolutionize medicine.
That's the beauty of scientific discovery, right? You never know where inspiration might strike. And researchers are also delving into, the genetics of pom-pom crabs. They're trying to understand the evolutionary history of this unique symbiotic relationship.
So they're like mapping out the crab's DNA. What kind of insights are they hoping to gain from that?
Well, by analyzing their genes, scientists can, they can trace their ancestry. They can see how they're related to other, crab species, and even identify the genes that are responsible for their anemone wielding behavior. It's like piecing together a puzzle using their DNA as the clues.
It's amazing how much information we can extract from a strand of DNA, right?
Yeah.
It's like reading a history book written in the language of life.
Exactly.
Mm.
And this genetic information can also help us to understand, how pom crabs might adapt to the challenges of a changing environment. Are there certain genes that make them, more resilient to ocean acidification or rising temperatures? Could we potentially use that knowledge to help, protect other vulnerable species? These are all questions that researchers are exploring.
It's like we're learning how to read the blueprints of life, so
Yes.
we can better understand how to protect it.
That's a great way to put it, and it's a reminder that conservation isn't just about protecting habitats. It's also about
Yeah.
about understanding the genetic diversity of species and ensuring that they have the tools that they need to adapt and thrive in the face of change.
So it's a combination of cultural appreciation and scientific research and conservation action. It's this holistic approach that recognizes the interconnectedness of all living things.
Precisely. And it all starts with, curiosity, with a willingness to learn from the natural world, even from a tiny crab,
Yeah.
with pom-poms.
The pom-pom crab is a powerful reminder that every creature, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, has a story to tell, and those stories can teach us these valuable lessons about resilience, cooperation, and the interconnectedness of all life.
Couldn't agree more. They're tiny but mighty ambassadors for the ocean, reminding us that we're all part of this delicate web of life, and that our actions have consequences.
As we wrap up this episode of Saltwater Stories, what's the key takeaway that you hope our listeners will remember about the pom-pom crab?
For me, it's the reminder that the ocean is full of surprises, and that every creature, no matter how small, has a unique role to play in the grand symphony of life. By learning about these creatures, by appreciating their beauty and their complexity, we deepen our connection to the natural world,
Yeah.
and we strengthen our resolve to protect it.
That's beautifully said, and it's a message that resonates far beyond the world of the pom-pom crab. It's a message that applies to every creature on this planet, from the tiniest insects to the largest whale. We're all interconnected, and we all have a responsibility to care for this amazing planet we call home.
I couldn't have said it said it better myself. So let's all keep exploring, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep fighting for the future of our oceans, and let's never underestimate the power of a tiny crab with pom-poms to inspire us along the way.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of the pom-pom crab. We hope you've learned something new, and that you'll continue to explore the wonders of our oceans.